Welcome to the Goon Squad Sports Radio's First 40. I am Puma along with Black Thor and Ice Water. It's big boy and big girl season, Black.
You know, that's my
Who you cuffing? Who you cuffing?
What are you talking about? I'm going to say it's big girl season all year, my brother. Chicago. Chicago knows the time of year you all do that, but it doesn't matter around these parts of the woods, my brother.
Hey, man, I was wondering if you had a chance to watch NCAA basketball yesterday. It started yesterday, man, and I'm surprised about the season, Black, because a lot of conference teams are playing each other very early. They're not waiting until December to play after the tournaments. And we're used to seeing the tournaments like the Maui Classic and all that other stuff. I know the ACC, they're playing each other right now. Saw a game last night with Michigan State and Kentucky. Michigan, to me, doesn't have go-to players at this particular point, although they have the number one player in the country as far as the he's all American right now, Cassius. But Kentucky came out and blew the doors off of Michigan State. Michigan State made a lot of mistakes. But the thing that got me last night is that the Duke team we saw last year, totally different this year, but they play some great defense. And Kansas, their bigs down low are still soft. Any eye tests on some of the games last night, man?
No, I didn't get a chance to check out any. I apologize, but it's interesting about Duke, man, how they had to reload. So I'll be interested to kind of watch them and pay attention, but I didn't get a chance. So I'll yield my time to you and Ice for what you two may have saw and can contribute.
Ice Water, I know you were watching NCAA basketball last night. Give me your eye test. I got some other teams that I watched last night also, but I was talking earlier about the Duke game and also the Kentucky game. None of the teams look like top four teams right now because it's early in the season. They didn't play the cupcake schedule. They went right into kind of playing the top of the top. So give me your eye test, man.
Man, I'm sorry I didn't watch the game. I don't have anything. No, I'm just sorry. Right. So I'm defer my time to you. Actually, the games last night were pretty good. When you look at it from the standpoint, you mentioned about Michigan State. I don't think we should be too harsh on Michigan State. This is what they always do.
Yeah.
They do this every year. And you're like, oh, man, I don't think they're that good. They didn't really show me anything. But, Coach Izzo has a way to kind of mold that team, and they'll be right where they need to be come tournament time. That's what he does. Kentucky was very impressive, particularly when you think about their freshman, Maxey. Maxey came off the bench, scored 26 points, put it in, hit the game-winning shot, if you will. And Coach Cal was like, look, I brought you here to shoot. I want you to shoot. Where's the guy I saw? I saw back on the day on the hoop court in the prep games. That's what I needed, and he got him last night. So very impressive by Kentucky. And you mentioned about Duke. Duke, that's what Coach K does. He finds different ways, and with that much talent, he has the ability. You think about a guy that's coached that much type of talent on USA basketball. He's accustomed to gelling or molding teams like that together. So that does not surprise me. And you mentioned too about Kansas. Don't throw Kansas away just yet. I'm gonna tell you. I know you ready. The Black Thor want them to come to court and sit down and just end their season right now. Not gonna happen. Anyway, but I just think overall it's early. I agree with you 100% though. I am glad that they all four teams came together and were not afraid to put it on the line, knowing that there's a lot of mistakes that were going to be made. But that's how you get better. And those are the teams down in the tournament you might want to keep an eye on, Black Thor. Wink, wink.
We do our picks in the tournament too. So usually me and Ice are talking, and Black is really kind of just taking notes.
Okay.
But there are two more teams that I have to mention that I watched last night. I watched Seton Hall with McKnight and Miles Powell. That's going to be two guards out of the that particular conference. I think it's the Big East. I think Seton Hall is still in the Big East. that they're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be really tough to beat. They're coming back from last year, having a great season. And also, I've been talking about it since the tournament ended last season. Memphis. They remind me of Louisville when Louisville won the championship with Rick Pitino. They're they're pressuring the guards coming up the court. They're not letting the guards just walk the ball up the court, and they are running and they are gunning. And what I noticed last night is that they pulled the three-point line back, so that's going to be interesting to see who can really shoot in college basketball and who can't. Because if you can't, you're going to get blown out real quick trying to shoot from that longer distance. And so I'm interested to see that. But Seton Hall and Memphis are teams to watch also. Nice. Any other teams that you got to watch?
Well, I didn't get a chance to see Memphis, but I read a lot about them to see what was going on. I was going to leave this for later, but you had to give it up when you think about what's going on with the young man that came back from Andrew Jones
from Texas.
In Texas. Scored 20 points, career high. I mean, to me, that's what sports is all about. And they won, so Shaka Smart has something he can build up on, hopefully. But just to see that young man come back after 2 years of being treated for leukemia, and not only that, score 20 points. I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship, but they're going to be one of the teams I want to be rooting for the rest of the way.
All right, let's go to NCAA football, Black. Now, the seedings came out for the playoffs. Clemson is number 5, but I'm telling people that are Clemson fans, don't even worry about it. The top 4 teams, they play each other pretty soon, and 2 of those teams are going to get knocked out the playoffs this week or next week. What's your thoughts about the playoff seedings and how they kind of did the rankings this year with putting some teams in really kind of interesting spots if any of those 4 teams fall?
To me, it almost seemed like Utah, can't think of the team now, Utah, Oregon, they kind of want to kind of give these teams a chance because we're slated. I don't understand how Oklahoma falls behind Utah and Oregon. I like Ohio State being number 1. I like LSU where they are. I don't have a problem with Clemson's being, but I kind of felt that Oklahoma should be number 5 or be real close to Clemson. I haven't been impressed with Clemson all year, so I'm not surprised where they are. And they're probably going to find their way back in, like you said, because LSU and Alabama are going to play, so one of them is going to get knocked out of there. I was a little surprised Penn State was number 4. I kind of, even though I know they haven't lost yet, I was a little surprised they were 4. But then again, I could hang with that for now because they're going to play Ohio State, and that's another team. One of those teams is going to fall out. But it seems to me that they want Oregon and Utah to possibly get a taste. They're trying to give them an opportunity to get a taste to kind of get in there because those are names we don't really talk about too often, and they're not up in the top 4 too often. But it seems like they're trying to give them a door if they can kind of do it, handle their business, to find their way in.
Ice, I know you were smiling. I could see you smiling in Chicago when Ohio State was ranked number 1. Come on, man. Come on. Give it.
Now, honestly, you know how I operate. I think a lot of the rankings, they don't mean anything until you get to the end. So to see them number 1, I know a lot of people in Columbus here are excited, but at the same time, I'm like, it could be a curse too, because everybody's expecting to be that way. They have been very dominant. They've done what they're supposed to do against the teams that they played against. You can't make up your own schedule, but they've blown people out. And I think the committee respects that. So, yeah, but I'm not, there's no noisemakers going off over here or anything like that, because at the end comes down to you have to be there. Because right now, they're number 1, but what does it mean in 4 weeks? If they're number 8, it doesn't mean anything. So, I mean, people, and I think you need to put that in perspective. But in regards to the other part of the standings, you mentioned, I noticed you're talking about Clemson. Clemson simply, I looked at their schedule today. They just don't have the resume. They don't. I think they will get another shot. Doesn't mean that they're not any good. But you go back and you look at their resume, you're like, have they played anybody?
Yeah.
Anybody at all? And I think that's why they were held out of it in that regard. They like Penn State. It's a good feel-good story. And I'm not putting any bias on that. But things are coming, as you mentioned. Things are coming. Penn State was supposed to be a decent matchup against Minnesota. I'm not sure how far I feel about that, but they're there. LSU, Alabama, that's coming as well. But the one thing Blackthorn said, I think he's right on point when you mentioned about Oregon and Utah having an opportunity. But I'm not really that impressed with Utah. And I'm telling you why. It's not hating because they're coming up and you want to give the little guy a chance. That's fine. But most importantly, I mentioned last week they had a very tough game versus Washington. They won by 5 points. And this is nowhere near the Washington teams that we've been accustomed to. They won 33-28. So you struggle with Washington. What are you going to do if you go on the big stage?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that what hurt Clemson really bad was they were supposed to lose that game against North Carolina. And they just got by North Carolina. And the ACC has not been that tough this year. And they've kind of fallen a little bit off this year. And I think that the SEC was rewarded and the Big Ten was rewarded with Penn State and Ohio State. Since that game with Clemson and North Carolina, Clemson's been playing some real good football. So if I was Dabo, I wouldn't be mad at all being ranked number 5 because you know that 2 of those teams are coming out as soon as they lose to a conference rival, and then you're back in the number 4, number 3, seed, and you're going to win the ACC. It's probably something that he can use for the team, Ice, to get them motivated to play some heads-up ball and play like they're capable of playing and really dominating for the rest of the season.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, because you think about it from the standpoint of he's probably saying on purpose, look, they don't think we're any good. They say we don't play anybody. We can only play the schedule that we play. And, yeah, we got by North Carolina, but the point is we won. Even if a coach makes a bad decision at the end, an older gentleman, it is what it is, but we won the game. So I think he's going to use that as ammunition to come back and fire back at his naysayers, and he would love nothing than another opportunity to go after Alabama, whoever is in their way.
Yeah. Black, is he using this as motivation? Because I know I would as a coach saying, listen, you haven't played your best football yet, and we are the defending champions. We need to step up and play like defending champions.
Oh, yeah, he could definitely pull that out and use it. But I think at the same time, he's got to be honest with them that they really haven't played Clemson dominating football. And that's what basically I'm sure people want to see. And that plays a part, too. I know their schedule is not that strong, but even when they take the field, their quarterback is not the same quarterback we saw last year in the championship game. He hasn't been playing that way each and every weekend. And if you think about it, you don't even hear his name pop up anymore. Barely do you hear anybody talk about him. And his play has kind of dropped off a little bit. So they have some work to do. And if they're here again at number 5, if they handle their business, 2 of those teams are coming out of the top 4 right now, in my opinion. It's going to be either LSU, I'd probably say, or probably Penn State, and they're right in it. So I would not even split it. I would focus more on, I know you could use that, but I would focus more on trying to get them to play more of Clemson football, and they'll be fine, but they're going to be right back in it.
Just when you think Georgia was gone, Georgia put the hammer down on Florida last weekend, and they're right in the mix at that number 6 spot. Black, what does Georgia need to do to kind of get that nod to get in the top 4?
Here again, I would prefer to see Oklahoma in that spot than Florida. I just would. But I look at Georgia, and to me, that they play up and down. Periods of the game, they look like a Georgia team. Then there's some parts of the game that they don't look like Georgia at all. But they can find themselves, too, kind of just basically, if they handle their business, kind of walking right in because it's going to be, the survival of the fittest. So I think they got a possibility, even though I don't want them in, but they got a possibility to slide in as well. So if they can come out and win the rest of the games impressively, really come out and just dominate and win and get back to Georgia football, pound the ball, I think that helped them out a lot.
Ice, what does Georgia need to do, man?
Well, I mean, when you think about Georgia, I think that it's right there for them. We know how dangerous they are with the running back, and they can be up and down. The fact that they were able to outlast Florida, because Florida's been on a run, and I think the experience that Georgia's had in the postseason on the big stage has helped them. And they're still in the mix. Anything can happen, and all they have to do is keep moving forward. And if they're able to advance to the championship game in their conference and win soundly, then they're right in the mix. They're going to get people talking, and that's going to be very key. So they just have to keep winning, keep being impressive, and not lose, and let the chips fall where they may. How many times have we said that about so many other teams? I think they're in prime position.
Okay, it should be an interesting 4 weeks to see who lands in the top 4. I'm looking forward to it. And all you Notre Dame fans, I'm glad Notre Dame is nowhere near the playoffs. Get into a conference. Anyway, we're going to switch to NFL football, man. We'll take this story first. NFL going to London. The Los Angeles Chargers owner said, we're not going to London, but I want to get your opinions on this. And I may have a solution on how they can kind of take the NFL abroad. And I asked you guys this. If you were commissioned, what would you do, or how would you make this work? The players are already shutting down 17 games. It might go to 17 games with the idea that I'm going to put out. So, Black, what do you think about the NFL saying, hey, we got to be in London right now?
I think from a business perspective, it's a smart move, man. I mean, the Chargers, they were playing somebody home, might have been a couple of weeks ago. There are more of their fans there than the Chargers fans. They don't really have no fans in LA. So I don't understand why they're fighting to be there with a new stadium or not. You don't have a foundation. I think that I always thought the Jaguars were going to end up there, but they didn't. I think the Chargers should go. I know what the owner is saying, but the NFL, the other owners kind of basically twist his arm. I think he can end up there. I don't think it's a bad idea, man. I know you guys sometimes might be against it, but that 9:30 game, man, on a Sunday morning, I love waking up and watching a 9:30 game. And if to me, if the NFL decided to put the team there, and when they're home, they play 9:30 every week. Look at the fans, man. Look at the fans of the last week's game, how they show out. They got the jerseys, they're happy. And it's not only the Sunday of the game, the whole week when the team is there or the teams are there, it's alive, it's electric. So it's just a matter of time. And why not put the Chargers there? Here again, they don't have a fan base in LA. Put them there. I mean, the Rams have done well in a sense because they're playing well. But we know how the Chargers are. They're like this. So put them in London, and let them blossom, let them grow.
Ice, what are your thoughts about this? Before I get to the question, if you were the commissioner, how would you make this work?
Wow, I know how you feel about that abroad. That's your thing. Your middle name should be abroad. Anyway,
no, that's not a good middle name.
but abroad, when we mean in the term sense that I say, you know how we go. Anyway, but I think overall, I think it's possible. I do agree with what Black Thor mentioned about it being the Chargers because they don't have a home currently. And they're kind of just wandering out in space. Nobody's watching them. They're playing at a impromptu soccer stadium, basically, that nobody knows where they're at,
right.
Kind of off the beaten path, if you will. So if you're going to do that, then you do that. But the one thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make it worth that owner's while because there's so many things that they make money off of here in the States as far as endorsements, even locally. You're going to have to come up with the money to almost front him what he might be thinking he may be losing on the back end. But if they come out and they sell enough tickets, but this too is about TV revenue. Can we be real about this? Because right now, are the Chargers making money off a stadium? No. But people are watching. Charger fans are watching. So you keep that in perspective. You're going to have to sweeten the pot a little bit for the owner and to be over there. And you're going to have to guarantee them a place that they feel comfortable stadium-wise. Because it's a big jump. And you might say, well, you don't have anywhere to go now, but it's totally different. This is business, and you're going to have a lot of guarantees and concessions for that owner to be happy for it to happen.
Okay. Black, I'm going to go back to you, man. If you were the commissioner, how would you make this work? How would you convince give me a format, and how can you convince the players and teams that this is the way to go?
When you say the way to go, I mean the 17-game season or?
No, the being over there in Europe.
Well, I think you have to maybe, like Ice was saying, I know he's spoken in terms of the owner. I think you have to give the players something. You have to offer them something and show them something they're going to benefit by just basically coming over there 8 times, different teams coming over 8 times out of the year and playing. You got to offer them something. They have to get something out of it for basically going over there and playing. Because right now, I think there's just 4 games a season. So you have to kind of find a way to sweeten the pot for them just a little bit. If it's not monetary, something, more time off, something they gain by taking a trip and going over. If it's monetary, maybe time to where they get certain type of endorsements or something. But I think they can find a way because when you say TV revenue, we never told, when you think about it, when they over there playing, it's not in the States in London. I'm sure that's being streamed in other countries. And in fact, if you can get in London and play well, there's got to be another country that's going to say, you know what? We want NFL football here. And the NFL is not, they're not shy in basically expanding and expanding. More expansion brings more money. Just like for years, we never thought the NFL would be in Las Vegas. That was the worst place for an NFL team to be. Everyone thought because of gambling. Look where they're headed. So they're slightly moving things around and moving teams around because they want more of this. So my thing is, yeah, you offer them something, either a bye or some more days off or something they can have, and you juggle it just a little bit to where you make them see being in London is an area where, for the most part, if you're looking to get more exposure and basically more branding, if you speak to branding to a lot of these players, they'll love it. That there's a wide open market over there for your branding. They'll get on board.
Okay, Ice, you're the commish. How do you make this work?
Well, like I said, it comes down to the stadium, man. It comes down to the stadium. Because you got to have a decent place for them to play, like they feel worthwhile. You also think about living arrangement. There has to be something or somebody over there that's going to make them feel well. Because you're asking if that's a home team. Let's say, for instance, you have eight home games, right? So they come over there, they have to live a certain kind of way, and then they're going to be away from their family. So that's maybe a concession that Blackthorn mentioned that they can come up together there too. And you have to have the folks over in London, some a mogul in some manner buy in and just make it better, because that's what it's going to come down to, because the players, as he mentioned, are going to want something in return for what they think they're giving up in America, being in America. So they're going to have some comforts or whatever to do it. And then you go to the whole point of going through the Players Association too, because that's what it really comes down to. There's going to be some negotiating there for the play on behalf of the players to see how it comes down. So like I said, you got to take care of honor. You got to have a decent place to play, and then you got to have concessions for the players. I think they can get it done, but it's particularly with the Chargers, because Lord knows I don't think they ever will be comfortable in a home in Los Angeles. There's too many things that are in the way.
Okay, I know you guys are going to jump on this, but here's my proposal. That you got to take it to Europe in different countries, 4 AFC teams starting in Europe, 4 NFC teams in Europe. You cut out the Thursday night games. Players don't even want to play Thursday night games. Cut out the Thursday night games. And that. Maybe now Black is putting the shades on. Maybe have some Saturday games, but the season will stretch the season out a little bit longer. Maybe 17 games. But I see them putting 4 teams in the NFC, 4 teams in the NFC, in not just London, but in Germany, France, yeah.
Oh, what the hell?
Add 8 teams.
What?
Look at Black.
Hey, Black. Let me say one thing real quick. If you do moving all these teams, there must be some weed involved.
No. Not moving the current teams. Developing 8 new teams.
Oh my God! How many teams could be in the league?
You got 4 in the AFC, 4 more in the NFC.
What is this, arena football? I know you want that damn league. What the hell's going on?
Because you're not going to get the owners here to move over to London.
Bro, this is not DraftKings.
Over there to play in the NFL.
This is not DraftKings, man. You're talking about humans moving over countries, bro. It's not DraftKings. It's not paper.
These
are human beings, bro.
The only thing with that too, though, is you had to have the quality of talent, or them teams gonna get blown out. Germany, whoever they are, what major talent is gonna go to Germany?
Hey, there might be some people who are willing to go, but I'm saying the only way you got to move that, because these players and these owners are not going to move to London. They'll play 1 or 2 games in London, but I see NFC, AFC, 4 new teams. You can spread them out in England, France, and some European countries, maybe 2 teams a country, and that's it.
Can I step in here?
Go ahead.
Realistically, the players don't have an option. If the Chargers decide to go, either you go or you don't play. And if you don't go, trust me, there's players out there, maybe not as talented, what they have in their roster, will go and play there. So it's not even about whether the players want to go. I think at some point, if the commissioner can show where money can be made by putting the Chargers there, Dean Spanos, I think that's his name, it doesn't matter what he says. Either you go or we're going to take the team away from and sell it. It's just that simple, bro. That's what it comes down to. It's about dollars and cents. They're not going to take another 4-8 teams and make them up and put them around. Bro, I mean, that sounds nice, but it's just not. It's not realistic. It's not logical. It's not realistic. But you do need a team, and possibly 2 teams. You might need 2. But I think you can have
multiple teams over there.
No. But you got to bring current teams. You can't make up new rosters. You got to bring current because you're expanding. Now you're talking about expanding the NFL. That's not going to happen. But you can take 2 teams. You can take a team. Let's say hypothetically. I'm not saying I would take this team, but a team that's in a city that's not basically making and doing well financially, you got to ship them over there because it's new revenue. The NFL is king at always finding new revenue. So I can see that happening. But the bottom line, if you got 30 or 31 owners that see green, somebody's going. And it might as well be the Chargers because at this point, they just don't have a home. They just don't. There's nothing linking them to LA. Nothing. See, the thing about the Rams, too, the Rams was there one time before. They were there. Even though they left and they came back, they were there. Just like the Raiders. When they went back home, they still was accepted. The Chargers always been in San Diego. Now you leave, and it's not like you left like the Colts left and came to Maryland. You left and stayed in California. You didn't leave the state, which is really when you think about it, it's stupid. So Chargers made a big mistake trying to run to LA, and it's just not going to happen. So I think the league, I really do, I think they're going to kind of push the Chargers to go. It may not happen this year, but eventually we'll go. Because if you look here again, I don't know if you got up on Sunday and watched the game, these fans love NFL football, bro. I remember years ago, I went to the Cowboys game, and on Sunday, and if you think the Cowboys game is exciting inside the stadium, you need to see what goes on before the game starts, 2 to 3 hours before the game starts around. That's what I see in London. And they don't even have a team. Put a team there, I'm telling you, that the merchandising alone will go through the roof. So that's why I say when it comes down to dollars and cents, the Chargers, whether they want, if Rivers don't want to go play there, guess what? The next rookie coming out, they'll sign him and be in a heartbit. They could be stuck for a couple of years, but they're going to make this.
All right, Ice, go ahead and tack my plan, man.
Yeah, don't really. I know you want kumbaya. We have all the NFL with Hut, Tahiti Huts, and all that stuff. But on the real, from a realistic view, I think the key is going to be the talent. If you expand that way, they have to be competitive. And putting new players over there is not going to work, I don't think. But I do think what Blackthorn mentioned, if you moved a couple teams over and then you started from there. Because right now, the brand is based around so many franchises that have been around forever. It's like if you say, and I know it'll never happen, let's say you try to move the Pittsburgh Steelers over there. People will lose their freaking mind.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you try to move Cleveland over there, they will lose their damn mind. And they're horrible.
Yeah.
They're horrible. So with that being said, I think that's why you would have to take a team that is not really, they have a fan base, but after 2 years, nobody's going to really be too mad. They'll get over it. They'll go to the next thing. Jacksonville comes to mind because of the fact of the way that city is set up. They really haven't won it. I mean, they won a little bit, but with all the discourse that's going on and the madness, it would be pretty good right now. But if they start winning, it might be a problem. But it really comes down to you need to be competitive. Mm-hmm. You have to be, because one, you're asking people to watch somebody in America in a foreign land. You're asking people in a foreign land to support it. And granted, they love football and everything like right now because they really don't have it. But it's like anything else. People want to win. They want somebody they can cheer. Unlike in America, that's all we know. Soccer over there is like their football. It's king. You know that when you get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go watch a soccer match. Rugby is team that's nobody knows. I'm just saying you do. You do. You get up, and that's what people do because that's embedded in them. That's what they were raised upon. And I think the same thing goes with NFL football too. My only point again is if you're going to make that move, the teams have to be at least competitive where you go, at least they got a chance to win. You go over there and the team keeps losing games, it comes back to the bottom line. You're losing games over there, you're losing money.
Can I say something real quick, man?
Sure.
I like how you started your soliloquy
Soliloquy.
Soliloquy. Anyway, well, that's your people. But go ahead, brother.
I like how you started that trying to kill Thursday Night Football. That was your first game.
I can't stand Thursday Night Football.
It's like that got nothing to do with Thursday Night Football. But if you look at Thursday Night Football, the games have gotten better. The ratings have gotten better, bro. So they're working on that. But I just like how that's how you started basically on Thursday Night Football. I love that, man. You're doing Thursday Night Football. What they got to do with it?
Next is gonna be like when you come over to the overseas to play. You can't use your kickers. That's what's gonna be next.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't use no kickers.
That's a good idea, actually.
Look, like the designated hitter in baseball in the World Series.
Yeah, that's a trivia question. That's a good idea.
Oh my goodness, man.
I'm gonna say with the NFL, man. The NFL and the NFL Player Association is investigating the Trent Williams situation, man. And if this doesn't tell you, Black, about the dysfunction of the Washington football team, I don't know what else could tell you. What do you think about this situation, man, and what's going to happen?
Well, it's interesting because, if I understand this correctly, they was telling them there was nothing wrong with them. They come to find out there was something wrong with them. And when I was reading this and going through this, it made me think of Kawhi Leonard when he was basically dealing with the San Antonio Spurs. And there's so many times we're starting to see now where players are saying, hey, man, there's something wrong with me. And they're like, you know what, shut up and just go play.
Yeah.
So you wonder, realistically, I wonder, do teams really, and I might be going a little off base with your question, but I wonder if team really needs to, the NFL and NBA need to hire independent doctors, no longer have team doctors, man, because it seems like a team doctor is more concerned with the bottom line of the team, and they're not really concerned with the player. And I think at some point, these unions need to fight for that. But they fight for independent physicians to look at them and make a decision. Because there's too many times that we're starting to see they're making decisions based on the bottom line, not based on the person's health. And that's what seemed like it happened with this guy. And I think I was telling you about a story in New York where there's a guy that basically, they told him to go play, and his shoulder was hurting. And they went to the Jets. He went and had shoulder surgery, and the Jets wouldn't even pay for it. He had to pay for it out of his own pocket. And they didn't want him on the field, and this guy's getting a shoulder operation. So you're starting to see more and more players that are basically saying, you know what, I'm no longer going to be Rudy and just go out there and play hurt anymore. There's something wrong with me, but at the same time, the team are acting like there's nothing wrong. I think this is going to blow up at some point, man. It has to, because you can't keep putting people out there that are injured, and these doctors are not doing their jobs.
Trent Williams talked about a growth on his head, and the team said, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. We had it checked out. Come to find out it was a tumor, and he could have died. He actually could have died from this. And it just showed me the negligence of the Washington football team, that owner, top to bottom. It seems like this team doesn't have a clue.
Well, I mean, I just wouldn't just say it's Washington. Maybe we could say that, but I think it's been that way in the NFL for quite some time.
True.
Right now, it doesn't really make any sense because all of the things, the technology they have, and they're supposed to be moving forward. When a guy has a growth on his head and they realize at some point they don't check it enough to realize that it's cancer and he could die and he had to take care of himself. But then it comes back to the point of the only reason why they're doing what they're doing now is because they got caught about the concussion protocol. I mean, I think about how many guys were going out there, had gotten their bell rung, and kept putting them in the game. Nobody took enough time to really find out if they really were hurt. And it just reminds me now of how many of those former players literally just killed themselves, committed suicide based on the injuries that they faced. So now we have this going on, and with all of the technology, you mean to tell me as soon as the guy has a growth on his head, you don't take it in and get some type of serious scan within the next week to find out whether or not that growth on his head is malignant or cancer, period? That does not compute. And I don't think it's just Washington. I think it's a lot more stuff is going on that we're just not privy to. And now, once again, they got their hand in the cookie jar. So instead of a damn blue tent now, you're going to have to go get you a red tent to check out some stuff because you continue to move forward with some things that really could be damaging to the players.
I can't imagine, Black, that I would trust the team anymore and want to play for this team if something happened like this. And they're not looking out. They're supposed to be looking out for you. They're supposed to be, you're supposed to trust them and, hey, am I okay or not? I'm feeling this way. You're relying on them. How can you even trust the Washington Redskins at this particular point?
Well, they're going to do like they do with anything else, man. They'll look the other way because they're getting paid and they'll just continue to play. But I think it's a big problem. And I think it's something here again, I think the commissioner should focus in on, and the other owners should think about it, because here again, there's a separation between the doctor, what they're saying and what they're doing. And where they Washington handle, like I said, it's just not only Washington. It just popped up. They just got caught. There's probably many other teams doing the same thing, man, but they just got caught. And what happened is they take advantage of the players' willingness to want to play and be out there. And that's all it is. But they kind of forced them out there. And it's sad. When you think about it, it's truly sad.
Yeah, Ice, your boy Haskin is over there, man, and I feel sorry for him. I really do. I wish that Washington wouldn't even have drafted him. But how can you trust this team now?
Well, I think from the beginning, and I've said this for a long time, that as athletes, you're only good as your last game, right? Or what you can do for them currently. I think that we need to have more people that have make sure that these athletes have backup plans in regards to their medical health, how they spend their money, how they make their money. So if you don't like a situation, I like Kawhi Leonard, you go to somebody and get you a second opinion. And that's how you should roll. That should be how it is, because they're commodities. You break your leg or something happens, or you have a growth, whatever situation may be, you got to take it and look after you, because you're a commodity. And what they have done, like they've done in the American employment system, is they have literally put the fear of fear in people that if you don't do this, you may not have a job.
Right.
And then people start thinking about the lifestyle, how they live, how they taking care of other people, and they risk out there, even taking large risks, because they don't want to come up empty and not live the lifestyle that they do. And that's a major thing that you can put over somebody's head. So with that being said, I think we need to come up with a new way for athletes to understand who they are, where they're at, what they represent, and most importantly, how they need to protect themselves and everything around them.
Okay, we got a little under 4 minutes left. I know we're going to talk some NBA basketball. We're going to continue talking NCAA football and basketball. We're going to talk about boxing. But one thing I wanted to mention, and me and Ice were texting all weekend, the UFC Black has finally taken the spot of boxing. Boxing is second fiddle to the UFC. What I witnessed last weekend is that the Canelo Kovalev fight would not start until the UFC fight ended. And they said it. They admitted it. So I think boxing has lost its place to the UFC.
I'm going to say this real quick. And I tell you what, we will talk about this in overtime. So y'all watching, you come get it. I can't give it to him all right now. I'm going to give you a very quick, as Black Thor said, a soliloquy. Anyway, I'm going to give it to you real quick. Boxing is still king. Y'all believe this or not, but they don't make enough money. That's why they have all them pay-per-views on UFC. The DAZN owner, it was scared, and he really tells you he does not really have an experience what card you have. People love Canelo. Why would you do that? I mean, I get that. Now, I'm glad he did it, because it was a hell of a fight, that UFC fight. It's one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And my boy Diaz is a bad mother anyway. But I'm just telling you, even taking L's, he like, look, I'm ready. Anyway, but the whole point of it is, that to me shows inexperience from the standpoint of a businessman. Because when you knew from the beginning, when you set the date, what was possible, you're going to run out there and be a big boy, and you're going to get the dollars, because people love Canelo. An hour? That was crazy. I texted you, I said, what is this? And it's the reason why I'm not a subscriber. They might be a sponsor. I'm not a subscriber of DAZN because of that. I got to wait an hour? How much money did you pay to watch this bullshit? Thank God for Fire Stick. $25, baby, right around Christmas time. You ready to get it at Target? I'm trying to help you.
I sent the information to Black. He should have it.
I got it.
All right, look, wait. Black Friday, cuz $25, Target.
All right, we're running out of time. But catch us on Overtime. We will continue this conversation and our NFL picks and a bunch of other sports stories. We'll see you on Overtime. Take care.
Peace.